UFC 323. I had not been watching the last few pay-per-views, just saving money, getting ready for Paramount Plus and the $8.99 a month it's going to cost me to watch all these shows.
For now,
I'll enjoy it. All good things come to it. Actually, Paramount Plus is looking at buying HBO Max and Warner Brothers possibly right under Netflix's nose. So
yeah, that'll be skyrocketing the price.
Probably still be cheaper than pay-per-views, but let's not take anything away from what we saw. And I saw the first two fights on this main card. They were eventful. They were very interesting. And I saw the highlights of these last three, and I'm interested to get your feed, and we'll talk about it. But before we get into this main card, are there some other fights you want to talk about on this show? Macy Barber, maybe? I'm not sure.
The prelims were great overall. Yeah, Macy Barber got a win, even though she got up kicked in the face, but she got a decision win. Jalen Turner came back from his short retirement to TKO Edson Barboza in round one. Terrence McKinney did what Terrence McKinney does and went to war immediately in the first 10 seconds of the fight with Chris Duncan, and Duncan survived and ended up getting a round one anaconda choke. But the real highlight of the prelims, and you could argue the card, was, I'm going to butcher these guys' names, so Iwu Baranetsky versus Aibu Aslan. This was straight out of 1993 UFC, where it was just two guys just going back and forth Chet Congo, Pat Barry style, both knocked each other down or rocked each other multiple times. But eventually, Iwu got a KO. This was all in the first round. So you could probably find this. I think the UFC or UFC Europe or something just put the fight on Instagram. So you could probably just find the whole fight because it was not super long, but definitely worth seeking out to watch. Very fun. Let's get into main card here.
Yes.
Start off a little rough. Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov.
Yeah, you know what? I was super impressed at this stage of the game with Blachowicz still, for getting knocked on his ass and getting rocked and being able to hang in there. Obviously, he's got wrestling. Obviously, he's still got that punch.
Yeah.
But just his MMA IQ and his ability, to stay in there. I think we said, was he 42? Or something like that.
43. Yeah.
43. Yeah. So obviously he's just, to me, he's kind of almost a promoter's nightmare in some ways, because you want to get these young guys over and have them beat him. He's stubborn and so majority draw. I didn't have a problem with that. If anything, I don't know, maybe I slightly went with Guskov, but it was close. Majority draw was fine with that. Yeah, just overall impressed still with the MMA IQ of Blachowicz. If anything, I think maybe this guy should think about going up to heavyweight, because he could at least move a little quicker than some of those guys. He might get knocked out on his ass, but if he keeps staying at light heavyweight, that's going to eventually be what happens anyway. But assuming he stays at light heavyweight, I think him or Guskov should try to fight maybe another top guy in the division who's coming off a loss, like a Jamal Hill, but it's a bad press, obviously, this past show as well. We didn't get into that. Or a Khalil Roundtree Jr., who we really like, but is also coming off.
Too low for Khalil.
Yeah.
They're not up there at that level. He's fighting the guy before fighting the title. These two scrubs aren't up there. Yeah, I barely remember the fight. It was a very good fight card. So, not that this fight was bad, but just didn't stick out in my mind. But yeah, I think Jan's been able to stick around so long because he never really relied on his athleticism, explosiveness. He just has power and good skills, and he's just tough as shit. So those things aren't going away with age, just being tough as shit. So yeah, I don't know if he wants to go up and get hit by heavyweights. But he definitely looked too slow for Guskov. So, if he had speed, he would have dominated that fight, I think. But
yeah, and that's why I said maybe it's out there, but I just think that in heavyweight, he might be one of the more athletic guys in the division at this point. So, but
heavyweight is a mess. So yeah. Let's see Jan and Tai Tuivasa fight. There we go.
Yeah, sure.
See those guys go at it.
He ripped the last time I saw him, though.
He was the fattest we've ever seen, and now he's on Minjara or something because he's looking pretty good. Another changing of the guard here: Henry Cejudo versus Payton Talbot.
Payton Talbot was not really on my radar too much before this fight. He is so on my radar now. Just the explosiveness of this guy, being able to take Cejudo down, just the growth of like, his game to be able to do that to an Olympic gold medalist. I don't care what stage he's in. Did it a couple times, I believe, too.
Yeah, twice, I think.
Maybe should have not gone too many times because he did lose a couple scrambles a few times, and I think that helped keep Cejudo in the game. Also, Cejudo, tough as hell. If I put Blachowicz over, I got to put Cejudo over too for being tough. And not a bad way to go out for Cejudo in some ways. Obviously, it's tough. You're getting bested by this athletic young guy. But, if I was to think back about Cejudo's career, championship pedigree, but I don't remember too many dog fights. I remember him winning either very impressively, had the right game plan, or sometimes he got outclassed by a guy like Mighty Mouse or something happened, So
that was the only time he got finished was when Mighty Mouse needed him. He Muay Thai'd him to death.
So this is like one of those dog fights you just see him at the end of his career too, just hanging. It really showed his toughness. But at Payton, going to the body at different times, I thought maybe if he had gone more to the body, he might have been able to finish him even, I think. But I'm super impressed with this guy. And I didn't actually come up with this fight. I think it was the MMA guru guy I heard mention it on Twitter. But man, when I heard the idea, I loved it. Payton Talbot versus Corey Sandhagen. Because
that's a big jump.
It's a huge jump, I agree, but holy crap, you talk about like that athletic style, because Corey could go anywhere and do anything too. I think it'd be fun. It'd probably be a learning curve for Payton. And Corey's going to look to be bouncing back, and Corey's probably interested now, and we got a new champion too. We'll see what happens, but man, that bantamweight division, whew.
Talbot has been pretty highly touted prospect, before he lost his last fight, and it was basically he just got out wrestled. So for him to come into this one and show the growth he made by taking down Olympic gold medalist Henry Cejudo twice, you could see, he was super hyped with getting that takedown as well. So yeah, I don't think the UFC is going to push him too far too fast. They kind of have gotten away from that model. If you look at Bo Nickel and Paddy Pimblett and even Sean O'Malley. So, if he goes out and knocks out another guy who's, in the top 10, then you would see him against a Corey or maybe like Song Yudong, depending on if Sean O'Malley or Song Yudong win their next fight. He's still really young, but he's clearly very talented. So yeah, keeping an eye on him for the future for sure. Another changing of the guard here: Brendan Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira.
Yeah, now this is one of the ones I didn't see. And I didn't even get much footage, but Taira got the finish here, and finishing Brandon Moreno, that's so impressive. Again, I'll let you go into a detailed fight, but now this is a guy based on the results in the co-main event, depending on how that injury works out, he could be in line for a title shot. Obviously we got Royval and Kopp this weekend, so possibility he could be fighting the winner or loser of that. Don't want to say for sure, but I know it was mentioned at the press conference afterwards that Dana did think that Pantoja would be out for a bit just because, ligaments and everything in the shoulder. So he said, I don't make fights, but, it was mentioned to me maybe going to Japan, and I do like the idea. So I think
Right. Hey. They brought Taira out to sit front row after his fight because, that I think that was the plan. So,
and I think, right, because it would have been a new blood for Pantoja too if Pantoja won. So it makes sense. Right. So, yeah, I think he's going to be the guy, but we'll see.
As far as the fight goes, Moreno's he's just been around a long time. Taira known more as a submission threat, but obviously that frees up the striking, and he's explosive. So, he landed on him, got the TKO in the second round. I think it's just another situation of a changing of the guard like we were talking about. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm excited if him and Van are going to fight, depending on when Pantoja comes back. Let's get into that one now. So, obviously, Alexandre Pantoja versus Joshua Van.
Freak injury. So when I saw Pantoja went down almost immediately, and I think it was John Morgan too, and people thought it was his elbow. At first, when I first saw
it was his elbow. I don't know why the UFC multiple times said that it was his shoulder. They've continued to say it's his elbow. You can watch it. It's not his shoulder. They showed it 50 times on the thing. His elbow literally goes the wrong way, and then he's holding his elbow, and it's off the. Yeah, he came out afterwards and said that it was his elbow, not his shoulder. So like you could see his forearm was not connected to like his humerus correctly. Whoever that doctor is or whatever that Megan was talking about, whoever she talked to needs to be fired or learn how public relations works or whatever.
Yeah, with some better advice. All right, well, communicate better. Well, all right, well, regardless, Joshua Van, new champ, freak accident, it may be. So we can't really, I don't feel like this is a change in the guard necessarily, because like Pantoja could come back and just annihilate the division still. Like we don't know because it's not.
That wasn't even a fight. It was 26 seconds. They engaged one time and Pantoja fell back on his arm. Like that was a nothing fight. So
there's no way to know where, because we know Van had a great fight with Royval before this, and Royval was one of the top in the world. So Taira will be an interesting fight if that's the fight that ends up making it, because now you have two young bloods in there going at it for the title, and then you have Pantoja waiting in the wings. And I think that kind of makes it exciting, because you could have potentially 2-3 new exciting fights out of this. So unfortunate news for Pantoja, but I think I will say Dana probably said this best. Like it's a sucky way to lose a fight, but it's not really a bad way to win. There's no bad way. Like you won. You're going to be the champ. Don't let it get you down. Matt Brown said the same thing almost that on a podcast I saw. Matt Brown says that he brought up this great point. He says to be that kid and probably working for a very, very hard, very specific goal that not many people are going to do. I can't fault him for being excited. And he said he took Chris Weidman. He said, I love Chris. He says, Chris knows that. He said, but there was a point where Chris tried to say that was his plan, the way he kicked Anderson Silva specifically. And it's like, no, I don't think that was the plan. I don't think he knew that was going to happen. He said, so to me, he's like, I always told him I thought that was kind of silly. He said, that's not what Van did. He said he was just very excited he reached his dream. He said, so I can't fault him for that.
No, Van did say that. He said, oh, that was my doing. I planned on, so I should get credit for that.
Brown meant that maybe that part he would take a little exception to, but
yeah. Well, I'm going to disagree with Matt Brown here. And I think Van has walked this back a little bit, but his celebration was ridiculous. He didn't win that fight. Pantoja lost. I get it. You're the champ. That's great. Yeah, you're the champ. It's great, but that you didn't earn that. You may have done the work for it, but you did not earn that title.
I'm getting screwing, by the way.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, do I think he could beat Pantoja? Absolutely, but we have to see it. So, and I was very excited for that fight, so it was very disappointing that it ended that way. And when Pantoja is ready, he should get an immediate shot at whoever is the champ. Now, Van took 0 damage, like literally, I don't think he got touched. So they should put him right back in immediately.
It looks like Tyra's fine.
So whoever it's going to be, it should be soon. So, and then Alejandro gets whoever is holding the belt when he's ready to come back. So obviously Van, he's entitled to celebrate and be happy, but the carrying him around in the cage and making a big deal about it, Pantoja, who he was saying, Van himself was saying, Pantoja is the greatest flyweight of all time, is laying in a crumpled heap with his arm in half, and you're dancing around the cage.
Bit excessive.
It's excessive, yeah. And it's just a professionalism thing, I think, for me. Like, if you want to do that the second you get the back and you're so hyped that you had the belt, that's fine. But just to be dancing over this dude while he's in pieces for, something you didn't really do and you're taking credit for it, like you knocked him out like Connor and Aldo kind of thing, was not, it didn't impress me. He's 24 years old and he did win the belt. And like I said, he comes from a tough background, from a tough place in the world. And, to reach being a champion in the UFC at such a young age is very impressive. So I am happy for him, but I was disappointed in the enthusiasm that he had for the way that happened.
I was going to say, that was why I was actually looking at my phone right now. I was curious how old Joshua Van is. So you literally went where I was going to probably think about going. So that would have been my one counterpoint.
He's 24 years old.
4 years old. You don't know shit.
Second youngest UFC champion of all time behind John Jones.
Right. Hopefully he makes better choices than that.
Yeah, it'd be hard to do.
Slow. Yeah. Slow. Let's get
Let's move on. Main event here. Merab, holy shit, did we get this one wrong? Me especially, but Merab Dvalishvilli versus Petr Yan.
So again, last pay-per-view, I didn't get to see these last 3 fights, but from what I saw, it looked like Yan was able to do what a lot of other people could not do, stop the takedown and really implement his striking. It looked like he kind of beat up Merab. Now,
he did.
Knowing that, I've even heard some people say they don't want to see a rematch. I don't want to hear that because to me, I get why you wouldn't want to see it maybe, but they're 1-1 at this point. Yan was bested where it didn't look close a couple years ago. And Merab was going on like his, 4th title defense in a year. He had a record number, probably winning streak or close to it. I think you have to give Merab, unless he's injured, I think he should be the first guy to get this title rematch. But you saw the fight. Your thoughts?
Yeah, if he wants it, he doesn't want to take a little bit of time off. I think he should take a little bit of time off. He took a lot of damage. I mean, you saw his face, but he got hurt to the body by Yan multiple times, like so bad to where he like cried out when he got hit. Yan could have finished him really if he really pressured him after he hurt him. If he wants to get right back in there, he's earned that opportunity, I think. But he's like 35, 4 title defenses and 4 title fights in 1 year, really beats up your body. He cuts quite a bit of weight, I think. So all of that can contribute to the performance he had as well. I don't want to take anything away from Yan because I'll talk about that after, but I really was impressed with what he did. But if Merab wants to come back, just take the time, rehabilitate your body, rest up, get your passion back if you're lacking it, and he should get a title shot immediately. But as far as this fight goes, I mean, last time that they fought, Yan had said that he hurt his right hand. He went into that fight with his right hand hurt. I don't remember, but I've heard other people talk about how when they go back and watch the fight, he didn't use his right hand as much. So that makes a big difference, obviously, when you're fighting somebody at the level of Merab, if you can't grip or you can't use all your weapons to keep him off you. But the real star of Jan's game plan was his jab. His jab was really stiff, and it stunned Merab. Like every time he shot in, he got hit with a jab, and he couldn't get out of the way of anything. And then, Yan also stopped like 25 takedowns. So able to stop the takedowns, and he didn't get tired. His cardio held up. So he was clearly well prepared after that first fight. So credit to his team, credit to his work ethic, because I must have taken so much work to get the cardio at that level. And I would be down to see a third fight for sure.
And this is going to throw you a curveball before we get to the final ESPN card this weekend. But just your thoughts, I'm curious. With Merab being banged up and possibly taking some time off, I would say Umar would probably be next, I would think. But if Sean O'Malley ends up knocking out, right? Because O'Malley has to win over Yan, right? So don't push him.
I bet Yan would like that too. He'd make more money fighting Sean, and he probably wants that win back. Or that loss back, rather. So if O'Malley goes out and knocks out Song Yadong real quick,
which
I bet we see them on that White House card, USA versus Russia.
One of those guys going out too, because it's the way they fight. Song and O'Malley are both awesome strikers. So I mean, it's one of those fights I could see going decision too, but I could also just see, someone could get clipped early. So I'm just saying in my mind as we're talking about this, I'm like, oh man, if O'Malley happened to be the one that clipped Song though, and he gets that win, especially having to win over Yan and Merab being out for a bit. Actually, if I'm Merab too, that's even more reason. Let me sit back, wait, and then maybe I could try to fight the guy that I've already beaten twice for the title again, a third time too.
Yeah, plus the UFC, they don't want Umar to be champion. They got enough of those guys as champions.
He's talking about wrestlers, folks.